Okay, we're back at Real Builds, and we're going to go through everything we've checked and look at the work we've got to do. These are all safety items. Okay, they are critical. They are the first things you got to deal with. So we've checked the front suspension. It checked out really well. Really pleased to see that the shocks in it are virtually brand new. All the components are tight, nothing bent, nothing damaged. All the bushings in great shape. Steering, same thing. We checked all the steering components. They're all in great shape, and the steering feels good. Even though we haven't been able to do a test drive, just driving it back and forth in and out of the garage, you can tell there's no slop. Everything's working properly. Front brakes as well are excellent, with lots of pad. The hoses are good. All the fittings are good. Everything's looking really good that way. And the rear suspension were in the same shape. We lubed up all the bushings, we checked everything, there's nothing bent, nothing damaged. The shocks in the back too are almost brand new, and everything there's in good shape. Rear brakes, same as the front. Somebody was taking care of this car when it came to the mechanics. Wheels and tires, wheels are good, tires are excellent. Nothing appears to be bent, damaged. We do have to find a couple of wheel caps, but we'll deal with that under body and appearance. Headlights, tail lights, signal lights, four-ways, all work fine. Wipers work, but need new blades. Windshield's good, side glass is good, everything's working there. Engine, so-so. It's still a poor runner right now, but we do know that the core engine, the long block, seems to be in good shape. So we've put more fuel in it, run it a bunch more. It's running somewhat better. Maybe a lot of it was the old gas that was in the system. So it's so-so. We still have to deal with it, but for now it's good enough to get it in and out of the garage and to muck with it as we need to. Driveline, when we were under there, we checked the U-joints, we looked at the tranny for leaks, we looked at the mounts. Nothing damaged, everything really good. So we're in pretty good shape going forward. We don't have a lot to do from the safety side. Unlike the Triumph, where we had problems with brakes and things, this one doesn't have any of that. So we're in good shape that way. So now let's take a look at what we do have to deal with. Okay, now let's look at the body. Now we know there's no real damage, but we can see the clear coat shot in the front, top of the fenders. The hood has got some pretty deep gouges, lots of scuffs. And then the A-pillars, we can see the dead clear coat. This side isn't as bad as the other. The lower sides, from about here down, are actually in pretty good condition other than a little bit of bubbling we have to repair. There and there, same on the other side. And we've got some paint cracks. The rear bumper, again, no actual damage to the bumper, just the paint letting go. The wing's good, but the wing and the hatch, the clear coat's died. This side is worse for the clear coat failure. You can see it's right down to here. So that kind of tells us how low we're going to have to go, I guess. But no damage is the big part. A little bit of bubbling like we talked about before that we have to deal with. The clear coat on the roof is right shot. And while the black on the T-tops, the black metal bits and trim, it's tired. The T-tops are okay, which is great. Again, tops of the doors, clear coat dying. The odd paint chip here and there, but nothing dramatic. Mirrors, the clear coat's gone off the top. Same on the air pillars and the roof up here. And you can see a good example here of how bad the hood is. So, where there's no actual damage, there's a lot of work to do. And then on the front bumper itself, same thing. We've got some cracking. Again, no actual damage, but cracking and flaking in the paint. So, let's talk in a second here about how we're going to deal with that. But first, remember the last video we did, the front fender had huge scratches and things in it? Well, I took a little time and polished it out with a rubbing compound, just an inexpensive off-the-shelf cheapskate rubbing compound, and most of those scratches came out, which is great. made it look good, and what's left we can find ways to hide. But that leads us to the body discussion. So this should be a pretty good summary on the problems we have to deal with on the body. And while it looks like a lot, none of it is particularly expensive. So let's look a little bit at how we're going to deal with it. Cracks in the paint in the front bumper. We're going to have to sand the paint out to remove the cracks and then fill and prep, which is not a big deal and not a lot of dollars. We'll need to do the same here on the front fenders. Going to have to be sanded to get the clear coat smooth. Tops of the doors, more sanding. Tops of the quarter panels, more sanding. Bubbles ahead of the front rear wheels. Here we got to do a little bit of body work. We know it's not rusted through because we took a screwdriver to it when we were buying the vehicle, but the bubbles have to be, it's got to be ground, sanded, and filled. Hatch and wing, the clear coat again. Wing has to come off, which is only a few bolts, so it's not a big deal. And then lots of sanding. Rear bumper, lots of sanding. And the hood, again, we're going to get into lots of sanding. Now the rest of the car, the sides, from about 4 or 5 inches down from the tops of the quarter panels, from there down, it's actually in pretty good shape. There's some scratches, nicks, and little stuff, but with that, it's not bad, and I think we can get away with a bunch of polishing with a rubbing compound and a little bit of touch-up painting. So again, not a lot of money here, but an awful lot of work. We're going to be doing a ton of sanding, some filling. We'll have to do a bunch of grinding, sanding, and filling on the rear wheel arches, ahead and behind them, and of course the hood as well, and the hatch and the wing. But the sides, I think the original paint can be salvaged by using a light rubbing compound and a whole bunch of work to get the paint to come back up and hide those scratches. But that's still going to leave us with a problem that we need to talk about. Now once we've got all the bulwark done, we've got to figure out what we're doing with the paint on this thing. And the best solution I see right now is the front bumper cap's going to have to be painted because of the cracking. And we know the tops of the fenders, tops of the doors, tops of the quarters are going to need painted. And I'm thinking that if we do that in black, something like the TR7, we can sharpen that right up. And we can do it inexpensively. Same across the front. Hood, also black. Window pillars. And of course the roof back here. And the wing. That means an awful lot of fine sanding to get things right. Now other places, like where the rust bubbling is, where we have to do some body work, and the rear bumper where the top is kind of cracked paint and bubbling, we can get matching paint from the local auto body supply company in an aerosol can. So we should be able to match that pretty much bang on, creating a pretty good looking car. At least that's how I'm seeing it at the moment. So for all that work, we'll work up a budget, and it's not going to be expensive to put the looks back into this car. Okay, time to talk interior. As we can see, starting here in the passenger side, passenger door panel is good. The dash itself has got some cracks that have got to be dealt with on the dash pad. But the fascia and the face are in good shape, as is the console, quite good condition. But the seats, they're bad. And we're going to have to look at how we're going to deal with that. Especially the driver's side. It is really tough. As is when we look up at the headliner. The upholstery has literally fallen off. Now in the back seat area, we've got similar problems. But they seem to be confined to the front. You can see the interior trim panels are all in good shape. More entryway. And the backs of the front seats are in good shape. All the interior trim in the back is good. But you'll see we're missing little things. Little clips and trim and nothing drastic, but that'll all have to be chased down. Now the carpet in general is not bad. So we'll have to figure out how we're going to deal with that. And of course the driver's side door panel. Now look at that awful seat. That's a problem. And on this side the seat track's jammed. So let's go in and do a summary of what we got to deal with and figure out how we're going to handle it. So let's take a look at how we're going to do a lot of this. With the dash pad, I think we can do a vinyl repair. There's lots of neat stuff out now in terms of glues and vinyl padding that I think we can create a strip on the center that'll allow us to repair the dash so it looks good and give it kind of a neat appearance. The dash face is in good shape, but cleaning. The console, cleaning. Carpet's actually in good shape, but it seriously needs shampooed and cleaned desperately. Door panels, good condition, they just need cleaning. The headliner, the fabric has literally fallen off, and a new black ABS headliner is $375. I think we're going to try a do-it-yourself recover. There's a couple examples on the internet, and I think we should probably be able to do this really inexpensively, like maybe 30 bucks. So we're going to give that a try. The front seats and the back seats, they're shot. We're either going to have to recover or replace. And we're going to do some shopping and come up with a plan. The missing small bits, that's just going on the scrounge. You know, looking for the small plugs that hold panels on, the little clips, the coat hanger in the back, stuff like that. We're just going to have to do a whole bunch of digging. And the place will be looking number one on my hit parade. Here are the auto wreckers. And if that doesn't work, I think we'll be online. Now, that'll bring the status of the interior to good condition. Be a good looking car, nothing to be ashamed of, something you can hop in and out of and do whatever you want. Something you can take to a show and shine and enjoy. So those will be our steps there. And we'll work up a budget on that and get back to you on what it looks like it's going to cost here on Real Builds. Now here's our engine bay, and as we move into the performance part, we've got to make this thing perform. So to start with, we're going to rebuild the carburetor, go through the ignition system, replace the rotor, the cap, the spark plugs, the wires, and set everything up as best we can with the tools we have. Now at the end of that, we're probably going to have to send it out to have the timing set, because we don't have a timing light in the basic kit, and possibly to have the carburetor adjusted, because that's becoming a black art. But we've also got to clean it up under here. So we've given it one scrub. Once we get the insurance on it, we're going to the car wash, and this thing is going to get blasted to death, and we're going to do a whole bunch of repainting, touching up, making this under hood look good. A big piece of that is just getting down and getting dirty again. There's a lot of that in these projects, but it's nothing that we can't handle and won't take that long. So over the course of a few weekends, we'll deal with that. The suspension, we really don't need to do anything, so we're lucky there. Same with the brakes. But getting back to the performance side, we need to see if we can find a way to get this engine some more cold air and a way to get some of the exhaust out. But we're going to leave that till last, after we see what we have to spend on the balance of the car. Because there's still some minor things that are going to have to be found. Things like we got a couple of missing wheel caps. There's going to be little bits of trim that we find as we go along that are going to have to be dealt with. We've got to allow for some surprises. So as we go along, what we're going to do is leave performance modification to the very last. But we are going to get this little monster running the way it's supposed to, get it some snap, and then see what we can do about adding a little more. By the end of this project, we're going to have a nice, driving, good-looking Pontiac Trans Am that we can roll into a show and shine, show off, and is still fun to drive on the street. So we're going to put some budgets together and come back and clue you in as to how we're going to deal with this monster. Okay, after doing our evaluation, making our list yesterday, going through everything, and then spending an evening shopping online and on the phone this morning calling around seeing what prices are like in my area, this is the route we're going to take on the Firebird. We're going to start with the engine. We got to make this thing run properly. So we're going to give it spark plug wires, distributor cap and rotor. We're going to overhaul the carburetor, give it an oil change with filter, adjust the timing and carb, and I think that's going to bring us up to speed. And that's going to cost in my area about $250, being reasonable about it. Then there's the engine bay. We might as well get all the dirty stuff done first. So we're going to clean the engine bay, thoroughly degrease. We've got a battery tray to repair. Remember, you could see it in one of the videos. There was a little bit of rust there. That's got to be fixed. We've got to mask the hoses and accessories and all the lines so that we're not painting on them. And then a couple of cans of black spray paint, gloss black, one of our favorite paints, and get it all looking really good. Then go back and clean it up again, make the accessories look good and things like that. That's going to cost about 30 bucks. The big one is our interior. It's a mess. So we've got to figure out what to do with the front seats. Looking like we're either have to reupholster or replace, and that's going to depend on what it costs. The back seats, the front of them are going to have to be recovered. There's not much choice unless we get lucky and find another set. The headliner, we're going to recover ourselves, and we should be able to do that pretty inexpensively. Sun visors, again, it's either replace or recover. Dash cracks, I think we have a plan to use a new vinyl product, new vinyl tape product, that we can make that look really good inexpensively. And then we need to clean everything thoroughly, and I mean clean. So shampooing carpets and cleaning out all the cracks and all the little bits and putting protectant on them, getting them looking like new, and that's mostly time. And then replace missing small parts like coat hanger hooks and plugs and all the little stuff that's either not there right now or is going to get broken as it comes out. Now, unfortunately, with upholstery, that can be expensive. So we're budgeting about $1,200 to do all of that. And then the other monster is bodywork. So we need to finalize a paint design. We'll do that in tape and try and find a way to do the minimum amount of painting and keep the maximum amount of the original paint. We need to sand out all the upper clear coat and all the paint cracks on the front bumper and the rear bumper. Then repair the rear wheel arches, which is going to mean grinding them out with the tools that we've got, getting them super clean, super bare, all the rust out of there. Doesn't appear they're rusted out, so this is mainly just getting down to bare metal and getting everything clean, clear, filling it with body filler and spot putty to get it nice, and then sanding until it's perfect. Then we'll mask it off. Once masked off, we'll paint match, because we've discovered through a local auto body supply company we can get custom matched paint in spray cans. So we can get the correct color. It's expensive, but we should be able to match the repairs and the paint on the rear bumper. Apparently it's not something you're going to get away with painting the whole car with, but this will give us a really good head start. Then we're going to paint the upper body gloss black, and that includes the trim on the T-roofs, getting it looking really good again. And then between the black paint and the pinstripe, we're going to run black paint and the body color, the current body color, we're going to run a pinstripe just to separate it, make it pop, and possibly a couple of decals. And then there's miscellaneous things like, broken wheel caps, some hood shocks, and other small stuff. So that we're looking about $600. So altogether, we're looking at around the $2,000 mark, which is going to be a tough haul, about $2,050. If we can do it at that, and any money we can save, the rest of our $2,500 budget is going to go into performance items. So we want to make this happen, do the whole list, and stick to this budget, or do a little better wherever we can, and still get a really good result. When it's all done, just on these repairs, we're going to have a real good looking Firebird that runs and drives properly, quick as stock, and looking real good when we take it out to a show and shine. The rest of the dollars, right now we're looking at about $450. If we can save a little here and there, maybe we can get that up a bit. We're going to invest in getting some more performance out of the car. So first the basics, in the end performance, and we're going to start that next weekend. So we'll see you Friday night or Saturday morning here on Real Builds.